Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called "Please mark our stuff as not recommended." This happened more than a decade ago. I worked many years as a hardware developer at a big electronics company. My role spanned the gamut for an electrical engineer, but one thing I did often was board level design for digital circuits. For digital circuits, we generally didn't want to mess with custom tuned power supplies. So when the off-the-shelf supplies with everything built in came on the market, we gave them a really close look. This one small chip company managed to work its way into our supply chain. I'm not sure how they did it. They had local offices and the sales guy was the friend of a friend or something. Regardless, their parts were convenient, small, stable and acceptably priced. So over a couple of years, a handful of their parts got designed into some products. Meanwhile, some of the bigger chip companies started designing very similar parts, ones that were a little newer, a little smaller, a little cheaper, a little more stable. We were really incentivized to reuse parts to improve supply chain management and get volume price breaks. So, despite the other options, the little guy kept winning business for a while. Eventually, I ended up in a position talking to the sales guy and he had to tell me all about their new product line. It was a little smaller, a little cheaper and a little more stable than their old line. It was so much better in fact that he told me that we shouldn't design their old products into anything again. I tried to clarify whether they planned to discontinue their old product line or if there were known quality issues with their old line. But he did the usual sales guy thing of not really answering the question. He just insisted that the new line was better and we should use it exclusively moving forward. Now, I don't think there was anything wrong with those old parts. And as far as I know, those old products still ship with those parts today. But I couldn't get an answer clear enough to satisfy myself as an engineer. We had a way to flag parts in our internal system as not recommended for new designs. I told him that we always look internally before we design any new parts. And that I could mark the old parts as not recommended, ensuring they weren't reused. He said that was a great idea and I should absolutely do it to all their parts in our system. I clarified that it would just mark their parts as not recommended, not suggest replacements. But he insisted we shouldn't use those old parts and marking them was correct. So given my utter uncertainty, I complied, put in the change order and this company's entire product line was marked as not recommended in our system. The fallout was pretty simple. The very next design I did, I had to design in a new supply and the Texas Instruments part had been on the market for a while at that point. They were a big, known, good partner, so it just made sense to design them in. That part had a wide variety of versions and since one version was in our system, it was easy to reuse its footprint and edit the version needed. So for design after design, various engineers stuck with the new line. I assume that small companies' new products release eventually. They probably sent me the data sheets. But I don't think I ever spoke to that sales guy again. And my company never designed in another of their parts. The Texas Instruments parts, after all, were in our system and we were incentivized to reuse them for supply chain management and volume price breaks. The next story is called "Get It in Writing." I was hired as a robotics process automation engineer at this relatively large company that operates in several countries worldwide. My job was to create bots and scripts to free up our workers from the mindless, repetitive manual tasks. I was still fairly new to the company, about 4 months in, and was doing quite a good job of automating report generation, email sending and data input. Now, my supervisor had been trying for a promotion for about 2 years at this point. He shared with me that one of his targets is a certain number of US dollars in cost savings, which is why he hired me. He crunched the numbers and determined that if I automate the manual extraction of customer details on this external side we share with the customer, we can save up to 2 full-time workers worth of money. The platform is an order placing platform where we take customer details and input their orders into our system for processing. I said sure, sounds great. On my second day of working on the project, I was checking the site. I noticed a captcha validation error on the site after trying to log in twice in a quick session. Captcha is a red flag in the world of automation cause it's a measure to specifically prevent bots from operating on the platform. I reviewed the terms and conditions of the site and lo and behold, written in all caps, there was a clause there that specifically prohibits bot usage. I emailed this to my manager and got a pretty long response about how this initiative can help our workers be more fulfilled in their work by not being bogged down by this mindless task. Full of neutral corporate speak, but pretty much just says, just do what I said. So I programmed the bot to log in at specific intervals to not waste the capture error and deploy the bot in 3 weeks. 2 months pass by without any hitches, and we get an email from our partner asking why the purchase orders are being opened and processed ridiculously fast. The upper management, my boss's boss, proudly responded that we've implemented a bot and that it's a great win-win for all parties. Orders are processed faster and we saved money. The partner was not happy. They immediately requested a revocation of access from our end and called in a meeting to discuss the matter and included me. I was grilled for about 5 minutes until I showed them the email I had with my manager. They quickly let me go and had a closed-door discussion after that. I don't know the specifics of the agreement, but from the grapevine I heard that my company had to cut a 100k check to not be sued over potential violations of data privacy. The customer had no visibility over what the bot is doing with the customer data we extract. Suffice to say, my manager lost all chances of that promotion. The third story is called Nice Running Into You. Years ago I got an odd weekend call from a former coworker, Keith. His parents were elderly and needed help, so he resigned to move home and help care for them. After some niceties about how the move went and how the kids were doing in Nowhere, Ohio, I finally got him to spit out why he had called. See, Anne, his former boss, has gone scorched earth. She took my resignation personally, and now she's making it impossible to return all the company equipment I have. What do you mean impossible? Well, before the move, I tried to set up a time to drop it off at the office. Anne, through his secretary, told me that if I set foot on the property, she'd have me trespassed. Ouch! So I FedExed it. 3 boxes, cost me almost $300 with insurance. She refused delivery and they arrived back on my porch this morning. The company normally pays for shipping for stuff like that, so I can set up a pickup if you like. She'll just refuse it again. What would be helpful is a copy of the employee manual. I have one, but it's in a box in the garage. I email over a copy and Keith asked me an odd question. Will any of our managers be attending next week's convention in Cleveland? Well, if the calendar is right, the VP of Sales, Irish Terry for Marketing and Anne are all going. Are you trying to avoid them? Oh no. Just wanted a heads up, that's all. Enter malicious compliance. See, the employee manual said Keith had to return his equipment to his boss. It did not specify where, when or how. Anne was furious when, on the first day of the convention, Keith strolled over to their booth with a hand truck. And after some chit-chat with the VP, asked her to sign a receipt for the 2 laptops, monitor and fax machine. According to Irish Terry, the VP's presence was the only reason Anne's ensuing screaming fit didn't devolve into more. Her screaming on the convention floor was embarrassing enough to the vice president that he sent Anne home early, with the 3 big boxes of Keith's returned stuff in tow. The last story is called Screenshots. I work in a clinical setting as a provider. In 2019, I was asked to join the working group to find a new scheduling and medical record software platform for our network of clinics. To make a long story short, this vendor has not delivered on their contractual obligations. The software doesn't perform as it was demonstrated. Features we were sold do not work. And whenever we submit a ticket for something that is broken, we are told, just don't do that anymore. One of the biggest problems is that they demand screenshots of everything and even video capture of errors happening. Without photo documentation of a bug, they just tell us it doesn't exist and close the ticket. Our account manager made it clear that they won't even look at a ticket without a screenshot, even if we provide the error code. The last year has gotten so bad that we've brought in a specialty team from our parent organization. Our account manager blew off the handoff meeting, just didn't log in. I sent an email to him and CC'd everyone on my team and the big corporate team asking him what happened. It's unusual for them to blow off meetings, but it's not unusual for him to gaslight us about what happened or talk without ever answering a question. His denial of reality got so bad that we have to have 2 people in all meetings with him just so it's not his word against one of our staff. This is costing us a huge amount of lost productivity over the last year. His reply to my email was true to form. We had a meeting? I never got an invitation. Yes, you room temperature lump of tofu. It's the same meeting we've been having weekly for the last year. Well, you want screenshots of everything? You got it. I replied to everyone involved with screenshots of all the meetings. And his RSVP saying he would attend and the email confirmation of the RSVP, timestamped. and screenshots of the meeting for the following week with the date, time, platform and his RSVP to that one too. All annotated with red circles and arrows and leading with, as is customary when addressing problems with this vendor, I have included screenshots of the problem. I know it wasn't very professional and pretty passive aggressive, but it needed to be said. He then blew off the following meeting and tried to use the same excuse. Well, time for more screenshots. This time I included screenshots of the previous email of all the screenshots and the conversation where I confirmed the second meeting, plus notes from the phone call about the meeting date and time. Remember, everyone got the same messages from him confirming the second meeting. Now the big corporate accountability team is mad at him for wasting about 12 man-hours of time blowing off 2 meetings and lying about it. They indicated that this entire exchange with the screenshots will probably be taken to our vendor's CEO. Our corporate team had questioned whether we were exaggerating in our reports about them, but now we have the benefit of the doubt. And our vendor and account manager is properly screwed on this contract. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. Have a great day. Bye bye.